I think it's pronounced Crew 90.
What's up, boys and girls? It's your boy Johnny, aka Crew 90. So I tried to tell somebody this story earlier today, and no joke, they literally said to me, this is a direct quote, they said, "Oh my gosh, stop talking, I don't care about your story." So, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, it is your lucky day because somebody is hearing this story today, and it looks like it's gonna be you guys. So, when I was a kid, they opened up this thing in my local area. It was the Science Center, and it was like really cool because you got to learn all about science, but it was set up for kids, and so it was like actually interesting and intriguing, and it was just really fun to go to. And I found myself with the day off unexpectedly, and I didn't really have any plans, had no idea what to do with my time. So I thought, you know what would be really fun would be to go to the Science Center and see, you know, how much has changed in the 20 years or so since I've been there last, and, you know, see how much has actually stayed the same. So I went, and it was actually relatively cheap to get in. I was very impressed. I went, as soon as you go in the door, they give you like this map that shows like which exhibits are on each floor, because it's a big area, a big building, you know. So I'm looking at the map, I'm looking at all the exhibits, and I flip it over, and I noticed like a scheduling sheet on the back showing all the different shows that they're doing. And then I remembered, oh my gosh, that's right. One of the coolest things about the Science Center was that they had like specialists, I guess if you call it, that would come in and they would do like little demonstrations or seminars about their line of work. So for example, we had, I saw a geologist once that had like a bunch of rocks that they were talking about, and they were like really cool, and they had like geodes and stuff like that. And they were telling us about some of the caves that they had explored to look at stalagmites and stalactites and whatever. There was a marine biologist one time who talked about her work with rehabilitated dolphins, and she went into great detail about all the dolphin work that she did. And oh, my personal favorite, one time there was an astronaut, and he went into great detail about like when he was in space and all of this stuff, and it was always so cool. So I had forgotten all about this, so I'm looking at the schedule, and I see that there's a paleontologist set to speak, and his next little showing is in like 5 minutes. So I was like, perfect timing. I go ahead and I head to the floor that he's on, and he's already got a little bit of a group gathered around. And so we all wait about 4 or 5 more minutes, and then he starts talking. And so he's talking about dinosaurs and all this stuff, and he's going on this whole thing, and it's really interesting, and the nerd in me is totally coming out. But then, like, really cool, he pulls out this bone, and it looked like, I think this was the tooth. I think it was a tooth that he pulled out. And he's like, this was found in Argentina, and it's dated about 8 million years old. And that just blew my mind, because I'm like, wow, how crazy that this thing right in front of me that I'm like 5 feet away from is so old, 8 million years old. I could barely even process how big that number was. And he's like making it very specific to make a point of saying that this is not a replica or based on a real bone. Like, this is actually specifically an authentic fossil found in Argentina that is dated at 8 million years old. So then I'm already like, wow, that's so cool. Then he pulls out the femur of some animal, and he's like, this fossil here dates back to being about 12 million years old, and this one was found in Peru. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, if 8 million years old was cool, this is 12 million years old. So I'm like really excited at this point. I can't even believe that I'm looking at these two fossils that are so old. So he wraps his whole, that was pretty much like the end of his presentation. He wraps the whole thing up, and he's like, is there any questions? And I don't want to be that creepy solitary man at a science center. So, you know, I kind of just like hang back a little bit and let all the kids ask their questions and everything. And then slowly people begin to make their way out of the area, and he starts to set up, because it turns out, you know, he does a thing every 40 minutes, and each one of his little presentations are about 30 minutes each. So he has about 10 minutes between setup to do like, re-putting everything back where it goes and everything. So at this point, I step up and I go ahead and I take the opportunity, while he's kind of putting everything back where he needs it to be, to look closer at these fossils. And so he says to me, he actually notices me, and he's like, hey man, do you have any questions? And I was like, well, actually, yeah, I'm like really interested in this stuff. This is so cool to me. I said, how do you guys know how old this tooth is? How did you know that it was 8 million years old? And I was like, did you like carbon date it or something? And he goes, oh, actually, we were able to determine that it was 8 million years old based on how far down in the earth that it was. And we know, like, you know, how far down he correlates to how many millions of years. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Okay, well, how do you know how far down is 8 million years? And he goes, well, because we have this bone here that's 12 million years old, and this bone was about 4 million years more closer to the surface than this bone was. So if this bone is 12 million years old, then this bone would be 8 million years old. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, so then how did you know that the 12 million year old bone was 12 million years old? Did you carbon date that and then like work from there? And he's like, well, no, see, the 12 million year old bone was 4 million years deeper down than the 8 million year bone. And I was like, wait, hold up. I said, so you know that the 8 million year old bone is 8 million years old because it was 4 million years closer to the surface than the 12 million year old bone, which you only know is 12 million years old because it was 4 million years deeper than the 8 million year old bone? And he's like, yeah. So I stood there for another second or two, and then I was like, but that's circular reasoning. You're literally using one to prop up the other, which you need propped up in order to prop up the first. And I was like, I don't understand. So was there no carbon dating involved at all? At this point, the dude looks at me, like, really, like, then he goes, sir, I'm not a real paleontologist. And at this point, I don't really think I was able to fully comprehend what he was saying. So I'm like, wait, excuse me? He's like, I do this as a volunteer thing, like twice a week. My real job's at a restaurant. I'm a fry cook. And I was like, what? He goes, dude, this is a place for kids. We're not really paleontologists. So I was like stumbling over this realization, and I don't really remember even leaving the room, but I found myself in the solar system area, and it was about that point that it hit me, holy crap, so was the astronaut not a real astronaut? Were none of these people really who they pretended to be? My entire childhood was like a lie? All these people that I met were just fry cooks? Like, so there you have it. Moral of the story, boys and girls, is that adults lie, and it's better to find it out when you're younger than to wait until you're 29 years old and have it ripped out from underneath you. So, anyways, thank you all for watching. As always, it's your boy Johnny, aka Crew 90. I'll catch you next time.